Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm looking at Thump One by Toybox. So this is coming out for iOS and desktop on the same day. It's free on desktop and it's about $4 on iOS. Fair enough, because there are costs associated with having the license to make apps for the Apple platform. You got to go through the review process. Apple take a cut of the money and so on. So it's still extremely cheap on iOS, and it comes with seriously a lot of different presets, well over 100 and some more that you can download online. So, it's basically the price of a preset pack. So, this is geared at making basses, leads, kicks, etc. But you can do tons of really experimental stuff with it. And it's not a polyphonic synth, it's monophonic or paraphonic. But of course, you could use some tools to string a few instances of this together and play them like a poly synth. So now here I'm using iPad. On iOS, we could use, for example, Mosaic and download a free script from Patch Storage. I forget the name now, but there is a script for that. Or there's another app called Polythemus as well that you could use for that purpose. So, today, don't worry, I'm going to let you hear this in a second. Well, let's just have a little listen now, actually. So a little taster there, you can hear the lovely, fat, beautiful sound of this thing. I'll let you hear a great demo in a minute by one of the sound designers. Just to mention Toybox, excuse me. So Toybox are not a new developer. They have been making reactor blocks for, I'm not sure how long, but they've made quite a few. They're not new to, the world of DSP, even if this is their first plugin outside the Reactor ecosystem. And just to mention as well about sponsored videos, a developer asking for a sponsored video, first of all, it's great. We really need more developers to support the iOS YouTuber community, because it's such a small niche. Thanks to Toybox for that. But also, I just want to mention that there are benefits for both viewers and the dev in getting a sponsored video. So one thing is that I put a lot more work into sponsored videos. And I mean, I put a lot of work into my videos normally anyway, but I put more work into sponsored ones. And I also only make sponsored videos on apps that I like. I've turned down a few developers who approached me for sponsored videos because I didn't like the apps enough. And as usual, at the end of the video and throughout the video in certain places, I will mention areas where there's maybe some room for improvement. So in that sense, it won't be different from a non-sponsored Gavinsky video. Okay, another thing I want to mention before we get started is, as usual, I've got some copies of this to give away to my subscribers on YouTube and followers on Twitter, Insta, and Threads. And you'll find the details for that in the pinned YouTube comment. Winners will be picked in 2 days. So first, let's just start with a little example. So I got permission from the main dev, David, to use this demo that I'm going to let you hear. It's less than a minute long, that was put up on YouTube by their main sound designer. I'm not really sure how to say his name, but I'll put a link to his YouTube. You can maybe go and follow him. He seems to, have been involved in a lot of their sound design, and judging by the presets in this, really great sound designer. So let's just first listen to his really cool little demo, and maybe after you watch this video, you can go over and subscribe to his channel. All right, let's have a little listen. So, lovely demo, lovely sound design. Really like that. Now, let's take a look at the interface and talk a bit about the architecture of this synth and so on, how to make patches and so on. So at the top of the screen, we've got the name here. This can be a randomize or a mutate button as well, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a second. Here we've got the preset menu. We'll also talk about that more later. Note that here it also has a randomize and mutate preset thing. Over here is like a master level control. Now notice, by the way, when we size this small, it's really a bit too small. So personally, I would always be using this at bigger sizes. You know, this resizing thing is often an issue for desktop ports on the iPad. They often don't resize as well as apps that were, you know, coded specifically for iOS would. So yeah, okay. Then we have up here a menu that has a few different things. MIDI learn, I won't go into that. It's there, but if you don't know how to use it, you can check the manual. This is very useful, okay? So we can copy, this is where we select the envelope that we're viewing. Now the envelopes, by the way, we just double tap to set breakpoints. So these are called MSEGs, right? Multi-segmented envelopes. And then we can just drag them around. Okay, so let's say I had this envelope and I wanted to copy it. I just click here, copy, okay, and then go over here, for example, and choose envelope again and press paste, and that envelope will be copied in there. Now, there is, by the way, an updated version of this coming out very soon after release, which will actually have undo and redo buttons, and I think some changes also to how the copy and paste things work. So that'll be cool. And the dev has said that he wants to rework the preset system as well. We'll look at that a bit more later. Now, here, excuse me. So here, these are some actually really important settings. So, okay, MIDI resets oscillators. So every time we get a new MIDI note coming in, the oscillators will reset their phase back to the start of the waveform. Here's where we turn legato on and off. We can have a stereo kick engine or a mono kick engine. And here is where we can set what kind of parameters velocity will modulate, and we'll hear examples of that later. Here we just choose, you know, whether and how much velocity will influence the overall volume. And here we set the pitch bend range. So this legato, if this is turned on, this glide knob here will control the speed at which overlapping notes will bend into each other. Let me get a different patch, for example, this. So let's just first check. here in the settings. Legato is on, yes. And okay. Now, have a listen here. Okay, so that's how we change the speed of that. Here is a global pitch control. Here is where we set the attack and decay. Speed, okay, so the attack portion controls the first 20% of the envelope. Decay is for the remaining 80%. So if we play a note, you see the speed it's going along there. So that's because we've got quite a long attack. So we're seeing it's the little ball traverse along this section. But let's see when we shorten the attack. Okay, so you see you're not even really seeing that ball there. Let's bring it up a little bit. Nah. Let me turn up the decay a bit as well. So you see it moving much faster now. Okay, so here is a kind of a chorus and a detuning sort of effect to add a bit of width and stuff like that. Here we can have the internal keyboard or not. The envelopes, just remember, click those to add points and drag, okay? And remember the copy and paste up here in the menu. So then we come down here. Now we have two main synth engines. So one is responsible for the kick, and that's that part over here. Now we can turn this on and off with this button. And here we have the layer engine, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. And you can see that at the moment that is off in this one. Now, over here, we have 5 knobs. And remember, okay, that here, when we click on this, so here, we're seeing the envelope that can modulate the punch knob. When we click on this one, we've got the envelope for the table knob and so on, okay? So these are the main knobs. So we've got punch, table, drive, buzz, and level. So level, that's clear enough. That's the overall level of the kick section's output. Here we can basically bring in frequency modulation. So that's basically another oscillator working in the background to modulate the frequency of the kick oscillator. Buzz, this is also actually another oscillator. This one, not so good to hear it on. Let me try something. This is not, some apps on iOS, certain menus and things don't work well with the mouse. I need to use a mouse so you can see what I'm touching. There could be some optimization there, maybe, I don't know, depending on what they're using to port this. Okay, so there you can hear this buzz thing. And basically what that is doing is emulating a broken speaker cone. And then here, this secondary control just changing the color or the tone of that buzz effect. Here we've got a drive control for a sort of saturation effect. And this is a filter for that saturated sound. Now, here is where we change the position in the wavetable that the sound will start from. And here is where we choose the actual wavetable. So you can see there are quite a lot of them. So I just want to switch out here to a preset. Now I'm using the AUM internal preset system. So yeah, this is quite useful for demoing just the kick section. So let's have a listen to some of those tables. That's a lovely one, right? Love this. We could change that, right, like this. Okay, so there's a lot that you could play around with there, potentially. Let me just go back to the way that was set up before. And let's look at this punch thing. So you see that doing pitch modulation. And then here we're basically controlling the frequency of the kick section. So remember, this one is our master frequency. This is for kick. And let's just jump out here and let's go to the layers section. So the layers section is really cool, and this is based on the Roland JP8000 that came out in 1997 and became a real classic, very heavily used in a lot of electronic genres, especially anthemic trance, future bass, that kind of thing. I wonder if the Streets used one of these in his early stuff because, or maybe an emulation of one, because he had quite a lot of these kind of sounds that this can do in his stuff. So here I've soloed the kick and we've just got the layer, and let's talk about what it is. So this JP8000 basically had, among other things, a Supersaw oscillator that basically has 7 free-running detuned sawtooths and creates a very specific sound. And what we have here is 2 of those. well, depends on the mode we use really, but yeah, so we can have 2 of those, and we can set an interval. So let's just see now here. We'll just flick through these. So you see now why I'm saying this can be paraphonic, not just polyphonic. Sorry, not just monophonic. So when we're on these ones, here we have a detune knob. And then when we go to the noise one, it becomes a static knob. And again, we've got the filter here, overall level here. And again, you know, each of these, we can use the MSEGs to modulate them. So here it's controlling feedback. So you see it tends to become more atonal. Now this, the FM here is basically using the kick output to modulate this layer oscillator. And increasing that level knob will increase the amount of FM modulation on the layer oscillator. So you can start to get an idea of, you know, just how much this is capable of. Really a lot. So yeah, I mentioned earlier, now we'll listen to some, sorry, I was touching the mouse at the same time, it doesn't like that. So I was mentioning earlier that we can do some cool stuff by using velocity as a modulator. So let's listen to some of that. So I've switched out to use sequence AU keys, much easier to play velocity sensitive stuff on this. So here I've set it up. If we click on this again, it just doesn't like me touching the mouse and the screen at the same time. I mean, that's all apps on iPad are like that. You know, either use your finger or use the mouse. Don't try to mix. So you can see here, I've set up velocity to buzz and turned up the depth a bit, but not hugely. So as I play further down here, we have higher velocity, and you can hear that it's triggering that buzz effect much more. Let's just, I won't go through all of them, you know, let me just do a few. Velocity to FM, for example, maybe. Okay, so you get the idea there, right? So that can be really, really cool to play with as well. Now, we're getting near the end now. And here I've just got a little sequencer, MIDI Dreams. Let's just listen to a few patches that I like. So let me just use the AUM menu. Let's go through some factory ones first. So some of these I might end up playing with just the keyboard, but let's use this for now. Oops, hang on. Don't want the metronome. That's really streetsy, yeah. Jesus, need excitement. Okay, so see, this one will be better for me to play it with the keyboard. This one we can go back to using MIDI Dreams. This is not particularly interesting for my taste, but just to show you some of the more kind of bread and butter sounds that it's capable of. So these ones that I chose, yeah, it's a mix of some more standard ones and some more interesting ones. Like, I love this kind of thing. So this one is also better with just the sustained note. Let me grab the keyboard. So yeah, pretty cool for sound effects and stuff like that. Okay, this one also better with just one sustained note. Cool. I think most of the others I'll be using the sequencer. I mean, all this 90s stuff is just nostalgia central, isn't it? Okay, let me play you a few kind of experimental ones that I made. This one was a tweak of one of the factory ones. So I just put stars in front of them here just to remind myself that they were kind of favorites or whatever. I think that one's better with one finger also. Yeah. Now, when you start playing around with this, you're definitely going to want to experiment with what octaves the input sounds best with. Most of the stuff will sound better at lower octaves, but it really does depend. I like this next one. Brilliant. Let me play you an example that I made using several instances of this played by a sequencer. So what we have in this session is 4 instances, all using a patch that I made that I thought would sound good played polyphonically. And I'll just let you hear them playing together now. They're being played by this sequencer called Zoa. And what I'm going to do is start adding on some effects as well, because as you might have noticed, the synth does not have effects built in. I mean, apart from maybe like this widening thing and stuff like that. Now, as someone who has a hell of a lot of FX apps, I really don't mind. I'm always, wanting to try out the latest stuff that I got. So I'm very happy with, a cheap synth that has like a really quality sound of its own, and then, use really good quality effects on it separately, because frankly, the built-in effects in most synths are pretty substandard. In most synths, not all, but in a lot of them. Okay, so let's have a listen to this, and I'll start adding on some things here. So got Ultra Tap by Eventide. Here, the Voltor, not sure the pronunciation of that. Nambrini, beautiful valve emulation. Real Bus, tape saturation. I find the valve and tape together sound really nice. Magic Verb, my absolute quick and easy but beautiful sounding go-to delay recently. Murph, one of the Foger plugins that just recently got released for iOS. I think they're still on intro price as well, and I still am going to make a very detailed video on those soon as well. And here later I'll maybe use a bit of Alteza reverb by Fred Anton Corvest, FAC. So first let's just start with just the pure sound. There's quite a lot of space in this. Okay, lovely. Now let's start adding on some effects. At the moment, all we have is that reverb. So here in Real Bus, I'm using the phaser. Murph. So, as I said at the beginning, we'll finish off with a quick overview, things I like about the app and things that I think could be improved. First of all, as I mentioned, remember that this is getting an update very soon after release with undo and redo and some changes to the handling of the envelope cut and paste and a few other things as well. Now, in terms of what I like about the app, I mean, definitely, I really would really like to see that undo and redo, by the way. But in terms of what I like about the app, I mean, I have no hesitation whatsoever in recommending that people buy this app if they like these kind of sounds. Well, I mean, it's free on desktop. That is crazy. Crazy. I think this is going to be super popular. But yeah, also on iOS, like I said earlier in the video, it's what, you know, $4. I mean, it's nothing. It's the same price as a preset pack. So if you like these kind of sounds, it's great. It comes with a lot of really nicely designed presets, brilliant sound design. Really pushing my battery to the limit here. And it's got, you know, these really interesting features. So, you know, the MSEGs, right? The segmented envelopes that are just, you know, so easy to play around with. Well, I kind of messed that one up, but you get the idea. In general, they're pretty easy to shape, double tap, drag, and so on. So these are really cool. This widening and detuning sort of stereo effect sounds fantastic. The synth engines sound brilliant. It's a lovely looking interface. Well, doesn't scale very well. So it's, you know, really, I mean, I personally cannot read that at this size. So yeah, you've basically got to use it at a large size. I've no idea what it's like on a phone. Certainly for people on desktop using a big monitor or whatever, it's not going to be an issue at all. But for people who are used to being able to, you know, resize their apps elegantly in a host like AUM, it is disappointing in that on that level. But you know, the developer David, the main developer, really cool guy, very helpful, very enthusiastic. Obviously loves what he's doing, and just super nice to deal with. Yeah, he is, you know, aware of things like this and is trying to look at ways to make the text bigger when the app is scaled down in hosts that can do that, like AUM. So yeah, I mean, really, the great thing is the sound and the flexibility of the sound. You know, with having the potential for FM and stuff, and this like buzzy oscillator in here, all the different wavetables. You know, the ability to adjust the start points of the wavetables, and you know, all that stuff. And then the ability, if you want, to use the kick output to do FM on the layer section, and the layer section just sounding absolutely fantastic with those supersaws that really bring back that lovely 90s vibe that is very trendy again these days, I guess. So just sounds brilliant, really nicely done. Interface, really, really well done. Also remember the modulation possibilities in here. And yeah, really you can do a lot of stuff. So my main criticism really, apart from the rescaling of the UI and things being a bit too small when it's, you know, scaled down to small sizes. The only other thing that I would really comment on is the preset menu, which is, at least on iOS, not quite up to scratch. So now you can actually, when I first looked at this, I thought, oh, I don't see any way to make your own subfolders. But when I read the manual, great manual, by the way, beautiful manual. When I read the manual, I saw that you can actually make your own subfolders. So the way you do that is when you want to save a preset, you go to Save Preset As, and let's say you want a folder called, I don't know, like squelches, right? All you have to do is just when you go to put your preset name, you just type in squelches slash and then whatever, okay, and it will save that, and it will save it in a folder called squelches, right? So that's cool, but the thing is, you see, you know, you can't delete that folder anymore. You can't rename it. And I tried doing it in the folder that's in the Apple file system for the app. This won't be a problem for people on desktop, by the way. But yeah, you know, you change the name in there or whatever, you still can't change it here because this is sandboxed. And I mean, not every app is. Some apps you can change that stuff in files, but here you can't. So that needs work. And in general, just, you know, even the presets that are not in folders like these ones, you can't rename, you can't delete or whatever. So there's a bit of room for improvement in the preset menu. And also, as you saw, the preset menu is not responding very well. At times, it's working totally fine now. That's strange. But at times I had a bit of problem, like just right now there, when clicking with the mouse, when it just cut off unexpectedly. So those are a few things that could be improved, but overall, I'm really enjoying playing around with this. Had massive amount of fun designing some sounds for it and love the sounds that are in there already. So yeah, great. Really excited to see what else Toybox are going to bring out. And big thanks again to them for sponsoring this video. And as you can see, I mean, I really did go into a lot of detail here. So other devs, yeah, you know, sponsor me and help to support this, or sponsor other YouTubers, whatever. But you know, YouTube, man cannot live off YouTube alone. The pay is so bad in a little niche like this. I mean, it's not even enough to live off for like a couple of days what I make in a month from YouTube. So yeah. So thanks again to Toybox for sponsoring this. And if you enjoy this video, give it a like. And if you enjoy the app, go and give this a good rating and review in the App Store, or where, you know, if you're on desktop, I don't know, wherever you know, you get it from. Leave a nice review and stuff there for them. Lovely devs, and really want to encourage them to make more great, interesting stuff that is really suited to people like me that enjoy something a bit different. It's not just another, you know, bread and butter synth, not by any means. So great stuff. Okay, everyone, this has been long enough. I'll stop here and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.